Spotlight. I'm Shirley Lin, and with me in the studio, it's really a studio.
Studio.
So this is Andrew Chau.
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 周公的周.
Right, Chau. And he's an actor, director, and writer. So let's meet Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, nice to meet you, Shirley. Thank you.
Good to have you, have us in the studio here.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah. Anyway, so we know you as an actor.
Yes.
And what got you interested in acting?
It was really just out of kind of interest and curiosity. When I went to high school and I went to the Taipei American School here. That was the first time I started going to school in a purely English environment. And so there was a lot of extracurricular activity that I wasn't used to, because normally we had, chess club, sports, things like that. But now everything was in English, and one thing that really caught my eye was theater stuff, like performances and things like that. And I was actually recommended by my English teacher at the time to go audition for a play. Because of a reading I did in class that was very dramatic. And so I auditioned, and I was very lucky because 8 people auditioned and there were exactly 8 parts. So everyone got in.
Oh, okay.
So my first audition experience was one of just, good luck. And then so I fell into it, and I really, really enjoyed it. I felt very at home.
How old were you then?
I was 14, 15 years old. And that was my first real stage performance experience. And it really just, it struck a chord.
Were you a bubbly kid from when you were really little?
Always fighting for the spotlight. And so my sister and I would compete, but also put on shows at home. She held a concert one time.
A concert?
Yeah, at home. So because my dad's a singer, and so she really loves singing, and she's really good at it. So I took paper and I took a needle and I poked holes, so I perforated it so that they could rip them, like real tickets. And so we wrote Anya Chau's concert, what time in the living room, gave them to my mom and my dad. Okay, Anya's having a concert tonight, so I hope to see you there, and then.
She's older sister?
She's younger. She's younger. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So she's really into singing?
She is very talented, and I think that she.
So are you?
No. I'm not a talented singer. I'm not a talented singer.
But talented, talented, period.
You're very kind. You're very kind. No, she has a really good voice, and she has a natural ear for singing. So we encouraged her, and she enjoyed it, but I think she's at the point in her life where she's thinking of what she's interested in and what she wants to do. And so, we can't really pressure her into doing anything. So it's really about, what she wants, what path she ends up going down. And yeah.
All right, so anyway, so you knew that just loved the spotlight when you were younger, but it's more like acting, dancing maybe?
I did do dance. I did take dance classes growing up. I took ballet and traditional Chinese dance.
Ballet too, huh?
I did. And I also did gymnastics. I was always on the move. I didn't like sitting still.
Oh, one of those hyper kids.
Yeah. If I was born 10 years later, they would have said I had ADHD and put me on Adderall, but I'm glad I wasn't, so, yeah.
How did your parents handle you then?
My mom.
Oh, all right. Well, so is your dad.
Yeah.
And by the way, your dad is a famous singer.
Yes, yes. Chau Joaquin.
Yeah, Chau Joaquin, yeah.
From Hong Kong.
WakinChau, right, from Hong Kong. So very, very famous singer.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then actually both your parents are artistic then?
My dad's a bit more technical. Technical? Technical, yeah. He was a math major, like you.
What?
Yeah, my dad was a math major, and music is math. And so he really he's really good at like writing catchy tunes. And he's got a good voice. But for some reason, he never really saw himself as an artist. He's like, I'm a businessman. I'm a showman. This is my job. Like, this is how I run my business. This is the product I sell, that kind of thing. He kind of has that mentality to it. But I think it's nice now seeing, like, as I'm becoming, I'm entering my late 20s, and he's entering his, I'm not going to say the number, but to see him kind of going, no, I'm going to have an artistic renaissance. This is art, like, I'm really happy to see, like, him going back to do what he loves, because, a lot of his work is traveling and performing live, and that's really taxing on the body after a while. And so yeah, just seeing him like going to his studio, and just working, and then coming back and then showing me what he's working on, and I talk to him about it, and so what about this and what about that? It's really fun. Kind of entering this new era of our lives.
Sorry, now that we got onto the topic about your dad, can we just keep it that? Sure. So you grew up kind of going to the studio with him all the time?
Not all the time. Occasionally we would, because it was work. He was at work, and he kept his work life and his family life kind of separate, as best as he could. And when occasionally he would be working for too long, and he'd be like, oh, well, come to the office, come to the studio, and then so Anya, my sister, and I loved it,
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like, going to dad's place, and we'd run around, what's this do, what's that do, oh, look at the fish, like, oh.
How old were you then? 14? Younger?
No, younger.
Even younger, right?
He's been working since before I was born.
Oh, all right.
And so he married my mom, and then I think the next year went to work at Rock. Rock Records, and he was an assistant for a few years, and then he recorded a jingle, 就是新的方向。
追逐风，追逐太阳，在人生的大道上，追逐我的理想，我的方向就在前方，在这一颗年轻的心，沿途装满了理想。我的心不断地飞翔，路不断地向前伸展。我的方向就在前方，追逐我的理想，新的方向。
And then they asked him, well, do you have material? Do you want to record an album? My dad's like, yeah. Recorded an album, and then the rest is kind of history.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you didn't go into singing. You knew that you don't have a voice for singing.
It was one of the things he always griped me about. He's like, how come you're not carrying your voice right? 你怎么发声不是用丹田的? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's like, you're using your throat. It's too throaty. He's like, I don't know.
That was all coming from your dad?
Yeah.
He really wanted to mold you into a singer.
But I think on some level he was like, I can sing. You know music. You can hear it. Why can't you sing? Or I could carry a tune. I could carry a pitch, but I didn't sound good. There wasn't anything there. There wasn't anything special about it. And so even today, like when I sing, I kind of enjoy it, but I don't think I'm a good singer. I think, I have, as I've gotten older, found my voice when it comes to singing, but it's not like a nice singing voice. And, it's not like exactly something I want to craft or promote or make, so, because I've always preferred physical activity. So like when my mom, she would like turn off the lights sometimes and move all the furniture against the walls in the living room, and we'd play music, and my sister and my mom and I would dance in the dark. And I really, really enjoyed that, you know, that kind of physical expression, and that really kind of resonated with me, which carried on later into acting. But yeah, but
Your mom was a dancer, or?
she took dance, but she was mostly a visual artist. She's a painter.
Oh, painter.
Yeah, she still paints today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you?
I paint, I do.
Yeah?
I do a little bit.
So you're actor slash director slash writer slash painter, what else?
The painting is really more of a hobby. I really enjoy it.
You should get some of the painting hang up here.
Actually, no, we've just moved in, so no, this is, I actually thought about bringing my paint here to work here as well, but it's really messy. And so we haven't really figured out how we're gonna split the space up yet.
Right.
So yeah, it's, I don't wanna like, cause that kind of stuff, if it leaves a mark.
Oh yeah.
Cause I paint with oils.
Oh, okay.
And so you gotta be careful because the solvents you use or the mediums you use to like, you know, as the, that's next, if it's toxic or if it stains, you know, it's, yeah.
Oh, wow. So out of all the things that you know, but your favorite is still acting, right?
It is. It always has been.
What is it about acting that you love so much? Your mom was a dancer, or?
She took dance, but she was mostly a visual artist. She's a painter.
Oh, painter.
Yeah, she still paints today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you?
I paint. I do.
Yeah?
I do a little bit.
So you're actor slash director slash writer slash painter, what else?
The painting is really more of a hobby. I really enjoy it.
You should get some of the painting hang up here.
Actually, no, we've just moved in, so no, this is, I actually thought about bringing my paint here to work here as well, but it's really messy. And so we haven't really figured out how we're gonna split the space up yet.
Right.
So yeah, it's, I don't wanna like, cause that kind of stuff, if it leaves a mark.
Oh yeah.
Cause I paint with oils.
Oh, okay.
And so you gotta be careful because the solvents you use or the mediums you use to like, you know, as the, that's next, if it's toxic or if it stains, you know, it's, yeah.
Wow. So out of all the things that you know, but your favorite is still acting, right?
It is. It always has been.
What is it about acting that you love so much?
I think it was the idea of commanding a room and commanding a space, but not for myself, for and by the role that I was performing as. Because I don't really see it as myself or like my opportunity or my spotlight. I see it as the playwright's words or the message that's being given across or the experience that this character is and has gone through and is going and has gone through. And I think that's really, really fun because I mean, I love listening to stories. I love listening to people talk and, you know, taking bits of their stories and then feeding it back to them, you know, just to let them know, like, I've been listening, you know, that was really interesting, you know. You get to know a person by listening to them communicate with you or like sitting in the same room talking to them. Like there's actually a lot of exchange going on the subconscious level as well as the conscious one. And acting is kind of taking that normal human experience that we always do and putting it on a pedestal. It elevates it, you know, it kind of distills it and takes the real like essence out of what it is to be a human being with other human beings. You know, we're social creatures, so what it is to do, like we're sitting down in a room in the dark to look at people act lines that aren't their own. You know, and there's a certain ritual there. And I always found that very captivating, that they were willing to believe me. They were willing to believe that I was so-and-so. You know, that willing suspension of disbelief that I took them, or we took each other out of space and out of time, and for a minute, we were all in England in the 15th century, or we were all in, you know, America in the 1930s, you know, or we were, you know, that just really kind of, it's like magic, and real life magic. And I always found that very captivating.
Now you said the best thing to start in acting is doing stage plays. Why is that?
There's an immediacy, and there's a direct immediacy. I started doing film, I think in 2013 or 2014, and I was really glad I had a theater background because, you know, a lot of the times when you're on stage, you're actually playing to the audience, and you're not just playing yourself. You're not just doing it by yourself. You can't do it in a vacuum.
Right, you have to face the audience, right?
Oh, yeah, you know, I mean, granted, you know, sometimes your character sees the audience, sometimes they don't. But regardless of that, how the room feels is a direct reflection on how this performance is or is going to go.
That's a lot of pressure.
It is, but you learn to play the crowd, because sometimes no matter what you do, there's not going to be a reaction. And it's not that you're going for laughs. You're trying to get a vibration back. And the benefit of being the actor is you know all the beats. I know where this is going, and I know how to get there, but I also know all the detours I can make to get to those beats. So sometimes if I'm doing it just, you know, the standard way we were directed to do it, and then it falls flat, well then, in that void, in that silence, you get to see yourself kind of pulled away from the moment, and you realize, oh my God, this line can actually go this way too. And then you make a real life onstage discovery in the moment as the character.
Wow.
And, you know, so if it applies to the scene, and it usually does, because you usually don't run into those moments unless it's already like kind of you've been guided there. And you make a discovery, and the audience can feel that. They can see that, and it's live, it's living, and it only happened that one time. And you can try to replicate it, but there are so many conditions that have to be right for that to happen every single night. So yeah, it has to be very artificial, or it has to be very organic, and I love that.
That's interesting, because I'm thinking, wow, you know, when you think about a show, a stage play, or musical that's gone for 500 times on stage, but from what you just said, each actor or actress could be experiencing different things all 500 times, and still enjoying it. Because for me, I thought, that's tedious. That's just working for the money. So you do 500 times.
Well, I mean, there is a certain level of, like, machinery that goes on towards the end, if you're going to that extreme.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, I've never been in that position. I've never had the fortune or, you know, the talent to be at that level. And because I really respect that, because that's like, that's craftsmanship, you know, that's, you've perfected something, and you've gotten it so clean and so efficient that you can do it the same way every time. And that's skill. And I don't boast to say that I have that. I can't do that. I mean, partly because of my own personality, I can't really stand, I can't stand excessive repetition.
Oh, okay.
I do get bored. So that's why I have so many hobbies, because I need to find something new to go back to every now and then to rediscover what's interesting about it, or what can I discover through this experience? What's new in this part of my life right now? And so I could never do that. The longest running show I've done was, you know, like just the standard university production that was 3-4 weeks, like 4 weekends, and, you know, Wednesday and Saturday matinees, depending on the show, if it was a big hit or not. But that was my limit. And towards the end, it was like, I love this feeling, but I'm really ready. I'm ready for this to be over. Like, I have homework to do. I gotta get out of here.
Okay. Wait, you were born in
Taiwan.
In Taiwan. Okay, so you've been here your whole life, pretty much. You haven't lived anywhere else.
I lived in the States for the 5 years I was there for undergrad.
Okay. But, in acting? What that was? What that was? Theater major.
Yeah. So we did theater history, theater craft. So set designing, light design, sound design, directing, acting, theater history, world theater, like
Good.
that kind of stuff, yeah.
All right. What's the difference between acting, I mean, I'm sure you did some acting there, right? And Taiwan. What's...
I haven't done that much stage performances in Taiwan yet. And the only performances I have done have all been in English style theater. So it's been like Western plays, usually for a Western audience. You know, when I was going to school, you were with other classmates. And so we were all there doing the same thing, going through the same thing together. So there's a sense of like camaraderie that really like just took shape very quickly. Over here, you know, we're all independent individuals and we all have our own lives and we're professionals in different ways. And so this is really another hobby, you know, another thing that people do because they really enjoy the experience and it gives them something.
Here?
Yeah. Well, no, there, you know, we're all there because of that pretense, but we're doing it every day. We're living and breathing it. But here, it's, you know, there's less of a pressure, and I think sometimes that pressure is good. You kind of need to have this like, I gotta learn, I gotta get better, I gotta want more, and when there's no like environment that really provides that pressure, you have to give it to yourself, and that comes down to discipline, and so. Like I've enjoyed very much working with the people that I have here, but I did prefer, I think, when I was in the performances and the experiences I had when I was in school. But that could just because I'm biased and nostalgic of being in university, and that's probably it. But you know, there wasn't that much of a difference, to be perfectly honest. The difference, I think, would just be the scale and the types of people that come in.
制作我自己的电影，我有一些剧本概念，然后一些 idea， 然后有很久了，只是一直没有那个机会去把它写下来，然后把它做成剧本，所以我觉得还是先走一走演员这条路，然后看看有没有那个缘分去学。Hello LTV 的观众，大家好，我是周厚安。妈妈那家，他们那家都是从小看戏看到大，然后也是很喜欢唱歌的，所以我两边都有点艺术细腻的细胞，所以爸妈其实都很支持。然后戏剧也刚好，因为我爱现也爱耍宝，所以就很合我的个性。他们都很支持，因为觉得我喜欢，然后因为我喜欢有一份热情，我就会特别去专心把这一份工作做好，然后做完整。所以他们很喜欢看到我那个一个工作态度的一个出现，所以他们就当然很支持，然后我也蛮幸运的。
What's the difference between acting, I mean, I'm sure you did some acting there, right? And Taiwan. What's...
I haven't done that much stage performances in Taiwan yet. And the only performances I have done have all been in English style theater. So it's been like Western plays, usually for a Western audience. You know, when I was going to school, you were with other classmates. And so we were all there doing the same thing, going through the same thing together. So there's a sense of like camaraderie that really like just took shape very quickly. Over here, you know, we're all independent individuals and we all have our own lives and we're professionals in different ways. And so this is really another hobby, you know, another thing that people do because they really enjoy the experience and it gives them something.
Here?
Yeah. Well, no, there, you know, we're all there because of that pretense, but we're doing it every day. We're living and breathing it. But here, it's, you know, there's less of a pressure, and I think sometimes that pressure is good. You kind of need to have this like, I gotta learn, I gotta get better. I gotta want more. And when there's no like environment that really provides that pressure, you have to give it to yourself. And that comes down to discipline. And so like I've enjoyed very much working with the people that I have here. But I did prefer, I think, when I was in the performances and the experiences I had when I was in school. But that could just because I'm biased and nostalgic of being in university, and that's probably it. But you know, there wasn't that much of a difference, to be perfectly honest. The difference, I think, would just be the scale and the types of people that come in and out.
But you're saying here, though, you're working mostly with expats?
In terms of theater, yeah, I work mostly with expats here.
So you feel pretty much at home.
Well, I mean, I'm not just an expat. I mean, I'm actually technically a third culture kid.
Yes, just like me, okay.
But I'm also bicultural and biracial, you know, like so.
You're more complicated than I am. Okay, never mind.
That's not what I was getting at. That was not what I was getting at. Like, so like, I mean, I think what I'm trying to say in that relationship is that I understand them on a certain level.
Yeah.
But there's also a certain level that I don't really resonate with or don't really realize, and I can't really empathize with yet. But you know, that's the beauty of theater and acting. Sometimes you get a part or you get a role that you have to empathize with, and by doing that, you know, it's much easier to like understand someone else on a more personal level, and you know, the distance just shortens very, very, very quickly.
So, I know your dad's, you know, from Hong Kong. He's Chinese, ethnic Chinese, and your mom's Caucasian. Yeah. So you do have a face that's more Caucasian. Yes. Is that a disadvantage to you here in Taiwan, trying to develop in acting, in filming?
It's not so much of a disadvantage at all. It's really just it's kind of like a hurdle, I guess, on some level, but it's also pretty darn good branding.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, like you have to work with what you have. You have to work with your hand, you know, and you're not going to get a reshuffle in this life. It's just, this is it. And so you know, when I was younger, I was apprehensive about the idea of going down this, this career path because of the pressure of, you know, my father being a celebrity.
Yeah, with that too, yes.
So the idea of, you know, growing up, I always really, really cared what other people thought of me, very strongly. And then I was in undergrad, I was finishing up school. I had to take an extra semester to finish. But when I was doing that, well, as I was finishing up undergrad, I thought to myself, and I realized, you know, it's not a bad thing that my father is who he is and that I'm his son. And it's not a bad thing to have certain resources, and it really doesn't matter if people think anything of it.
1986年和美籍妻子康翠兰结婚，1990年生下儿子周厚安。周华健曾在《亲亲我的宝贝》这首歌里秀儿子，当时的周厚安模样可爱。今年2月，25岁的周厚安也跟着父亲一起上大陆实境秀。
能够跟大家一起过是第一件大事，那更重要是我小孩也来了。啦啦呼啦啦。
节目上，老爸开口唱歌，周厚安还出声吐槽。
最后还要平安回来，回来告诉你那一切亲亲我的好爱。
电影里和柯佳燕一起搞笑，这部5星级鱼干女是今年高雄电影节的闭幕片。虽然老爸是歌手，但周厚安却选择先从戏剧领域走出自己的路。
So, you know, it's a matter of whether or not I want to use it and if I use it well. Because if I don't use it well, then sure, people can say whatever they want to say about me. But I decided, you know, like there's nothing wrong with having some renown or some, you know, a name that comes with it, you know, to open some doors or to get me into some meetings or to get me to some auditions, you know. And it has in the past, and it's given me that opportunity. And, you know, granted, the roles that I play have been somewhat shallow in terms of diversity. It's always either been the Westerner or the foreigner or the backpacker or, you know, whatever, the boyfriend, you know, like whatever. And there's usually an expectation for me to use an accent when I speak Chinese. Some directors are kind of
So interesting.
yeah, I don't know, you shouldn't really speak that fluently, and it's like, all right. But you know, they at the same time they appreciate having someone that doesn't have to, they don't have to like direct in English, because they can just tell you what they want in Chinese, and they're like, all right, let's move on. And then they have to be like, did he understand me? I hope he knows what I'm saying, you know. But and I've also been asked onto set before because the director's like, hey Andrew, can you come give me a hand? Like my English really isn't that good, and he doesn't speak any Chinese. Like, can you like help me translate what I want him to do?
All right.
It's like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Did you get paid for that?
No. I was still, it was, so like, you know, a lot of it is about making relationships and forging new, and then leaving good impressions. And so one thing that I will toot my own horn about is that the opportunities that I've received at first were through, you know, the recognition of my father, or, you know, hey, let's give him a chance, let's see what he has. But then everything else subsequently from that has been because of the impression I left behind.
That what?
That I left behind, the impression that I left behind.
Okay.
And so, you know, I think that, you know, I feel proud of that. I feel proud that, you know, people feel confident in me to have that, to the point where they're like, yeah, we should invite him back, or, oh, you know, this might work for him. And then they think of me and they bring me back. And that's, I know, that's very, very, very rewarding, and very, very grateful for that.
Well, I think that's because you keep it very open-minded about this whole thing, which is great. I'm glad, you know, you're able to be open-minded about this. Yeah, that's very important. Well, that's good. That's good. So that people would come to you for who you are, not about
What I am.
yeah, you know, or whatever. Yeah.
Well, no, like as who I am as an actor, what I am as an actor, and what I have to offer.
Offer. Yeah. Right.
Or you know, because I've yeah.
Yeah. So you have performed in Chinese, right?
Yes. Several times. Several times.
Several times. You want to talk about some of your productions, or rather that you've been, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you want to know about them? Like.
What kind of roles have you been mostly been offered?
I think I've been offered a good range. So when we talk acting, like there's always like an actor has a type, right? They have a certain type that
Yes.
they would fit into.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of lucky here that the Western type isn't really that specific. It's just foreigner. And so that bubble is actually quite a range. Like, as opposed to if I were in the States, oh, well, you have this look, you have this kind of type body, and your vocal quality's like this. I'll put you in this type of role. And then that's what you play for like 10, 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know, if like very, very few people ever break out of type, like some good examples are Matthew McConaughey. Like he was playing the leading romantic rom-com male lead for how long? And then all of a sudden you get stuff like True Detective, and then, you know, Mud. And then he just kind of jumps out and just shows everyone, look at the range I have. You know, give me a break. And then Dallas Buyer Club comes along, and then he gets an Oscar. Like,
yeah.
that was, you know, it's a very interesting journey, but it was a very long journey. And he was in that type for a long time. Because it was a very specific type, because that was the range, that was the culture, and that was how he fit into that picture. Here, foreigner can mean many things. It could mean ally, it could mean adversary, it could mean guest, it could mean traveler, it could mean explorer, it could mean a whole plethora of different types of people. And so, you know, I've looked at a lot of different types of scripts and different types of characters, and I've been like, oh, okay, yeah, I prefer that, or I enjoy this, you know, and then I've actually been able to choose. I've actually been able to say like, I don't know, I think it's a little too stereotypical, or I don't know, I really should do this because it's a really good opportunity and it's not that great as a role, but I can have fun and I can do it, you know. So like, I mean, the first thing I ever did was a TV movie for PTS.
Public television.
Yeah, 公视.
Good programs.
They do, for the, you know.
Good quality programs.
They do, they really put a lot of heart into it.
Good. So once you got your foot in, public TV, I think that's a good start.
Yeah, 就是人生剧展. It was one of those, their annual, I don't know what it's called in English.
Taipei? Ah, it's in Taiwan. What do you mean this is in Thailand? Come on, you know we don't have money to go to Thailand. No!
少年呢，需要我跟你好不不？
no, stay away, temptation! Please 什么 ？Please what?
Be the up you lost your job. Why?
I was wondering if maybe you could introduce me.
I'm Lucy. Wow! Are you a magician?
I found this little guy. He kept following me, so I just decided to bring him back.
This lady's got my heart. Sing about that.
Playing make-believe with someone else's mother. Your mother's dead. Get over it.
Fuck you!
Was, you know, it's a very interesting journey, but it was a very long journey, and he was in that type for a long time, because it was a very specific type, because that was the range, that was the culture, and that was how he fit into that picture. Here, foreigner can mean many things. It could mean ally, it could mean adversary, it could mean guest, it could mean traveler, it could mean explorer, it could mean a whole plethora of different types of people. And so, you know, I've looked at a lot of different types of scripts and different types of characters, and I've been like, oh, okay, yeah, I prefer that, or I enjoy this, you know, and then I've actually been able to choose. I've actually been able to say like, I don't know, I think that's a little too stereotypical, or I don't know, I really should do this because it's a really good opportunity and it's not that great as a role, but I can have fun and I can do it, you know. So like, I mean, the first thing I ever did was a TV movie for PTS.
Public television.
Yeah, 公视.
Good program.
They do, for the, you know.
Good quality programs.
They do, they really put a lot of heart into it.
Good. So once you got your foot in public TV, I think that's a good start.
Yeah, 就是人生剧展. It was one of those, their annual, I don't know what it's called in English.
Right, I think, okay.
That program that they have.
Yes, sorry, I haven't been watching that much TV anymore, but I've heard of it. Okay, yeah. All right. Great. You're doing mostly what now? Films, documentaries, shorts, or?
In terms of paying work, I've mostly been doing acting, and I've done some hosting.
Oh, okay.
Like I did a National Geographic program last year. That came out last year. It was about VR, about the technology and where it is right now and how it's developing in Taiwan.
两个我最喜欢的游戏，一个是叫 Rodator， 你知道这个游戏吗？知道。啊，你知道？然后另外一个新的游戏是 Beat Saber，Beat Saber 你知道吗？
现在还不清楚。
哎，你怎么不知道 ？Beat Saber 就是那个对音乐的，有点像 Dance Revolution 跟 Fruit Ninja 融合在一起，一心二用的那种感觉。如果你的 coordination 不是特别好，你变成那个恐龙，像我那样，就这种感觉。
今天我推荐给妈妈玩。
然后他要玩，他已经玩了，他喜欢 Beat Saber， 真的，可以给你看影片，他爱上了，他做的还不错。然后 Easy Normal Advanced and Master， 他已经可以玩到 Hard。
是妈妈这就待多久？
一阵子。
大概多久？
一段时间。
Oh, really? Okay, I should check that out.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. All of it's on YouTube. I co-hosted with Vivian Dawson. Vivian's a great guy.
Yes.
Actually, funny story. Vivian and I actually were in the same city at the same time in 2005 when I was 15. Yeah, no, it was a random thing. We were at the press conference. We started talking. And I was like, yeah, oh, you're from New Zealand? That's cool. I've been in New Zealand. Yeah, I went to Rotorua twice when I was 14 and 15 in 04 and 05. He was like, Rotorua? That's where I'm from. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. And so we figured out that the bus that I took from the camp to the school that we went to went through his town every day. So Before I even met him, I had actually been in the same town, not the same city, the same town. In New Zealand, in the country,
It's meant to be. Small world. Yeah. Wow, that is so cool. So anyway, you were co-hosting with him, you're saying?
Yeah,
okay.
We split the programs in half, so I did 4 and he did 4, I think, and then so yeah, it was an interesting process.
Now you say you're also a director.
I am. I direct stage mostly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because acting for stage, especially at like the kind of what's the word, community level, really doesn't pay well. And in fact, it's very difficult to be paid as an actor on that level. And so I kind of just shied away from it. But I found myself thinking, but actually I could direct because I haven't had many opportunities, and I really don't mind if I'm paid or not for directing because that's not my calling, that's not my job. But it's something that I have learned about.
And it's something you enjoy.
I do. I love being part of a production, being part of the process, and I love coaching and working with other actors.
Right, you say you're going to start some classes about acting. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the group work I did in undergrad, and I had, we would ask friends, we would ask each other if they would watch us do a piece and then give us critique. We used to do that a lot outside of class, because we built a really good rapport inside the classroom, and that was thanks to the teachers. And it was also thanks to the material that we were working with, and also the other classmates that we were all open-minded individuals, and we were all thick-skinned enough to be like, yeah, no, give me the bad criticism. I want to get better. So that was really, really nice. And then so when it came to projects outside of the classroom, or even for a senior project, a final presentation, performance kind of thing, we would ask each other, hey, do you mind sitting in on this rehearsal and giving me some notes on these actors? Or the actor could go, hey, do you mind if I invite someone to come give me notes on my performance in this scene? Yeah, of course, go for it. And then we all know each other so well. So we all had a good time.
Can be really honest with each other, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I like to imagine that I can build that level of trust with a cast or with a partner in the scene, and to let them know oh yeah, hey, I heard that and that was really cool, but did you think about this? Does that fit into this too? What do you think? But that takes time, and it takes really having constant exposure and work experience with other people for that to really take off and go somewhere. But yeah, it's something that I want to establish again with people, and I haven't figured out how I'm going to do it, if I'm going to do one-on-one or group classes, because it's very different. And
what about age group?
Age group adults. I'm going to work with adults. I have volunteered and worked with children in the past, but that's technically an entirely different beast.
Yeah.
And the parents and the teachers that I was working with were just let's just play games. It's sure. I mean,
it's different from acting.
Yeah. I mean, they're children, and there's a certain level of expectation, but that's the thing. I didn't major in theater education. I majored in theater. And there's an entirely different branch of academia for teaching children theater, or teaching theater, because you're not just teaching theater, you're teaching psychology.
Yeah.
You're teaching.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing that theater as a tool that in our society today is really used to help children formulate expressions or formulate thoughts and how to frame their thought or argument in that situation. So a lot of it is a bit more improvisational games that you do, that you kind of work them into, oh, well, I have this feeling or this thought right now, and this is what I want to say about it. You're empowering them, but you can't really go, all right, here's your script, here's your lines, I'll see you in 2 weeks, and be off book. You can't really do that with a child.
Right. So, you mean that's happened to you?
As a child?
No, but just someone give you a script, and well, here's the script, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'd be the best. I mean, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, that'd be really exciting.
Why do I feel like that's a very irresponsible director?
No. I mean, that's what kind of I am right now. Thanks, I guess. No. Sometimes the conditions are just that. Everyone's a professional, right? So the people that you're working with, they have their own careers and their own jobs they need to worry about, and people have different schedules, they have different lives, and sometimes things happen, and the only thing you can really do is, hey, see you in 2 weeks, just please be off book. We gotta go straight into blocking, you know, and that's your only choice because of the way the timing is.
So if you say you're gonna coach like acting for adults, it could be adults older than you, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You feel totally fine about that?
No, I like to imagine myself as a respectful person, and the idea that like I'm not seeking them out and hey, can I teach you? No, I'm putting the word out there, and if they come, then there's a different relationship there. I'm not going out scouting for students. I'm saying like, hey, I'm interested in doing this. If you're interested in doing this, I'll be here, you know. And I don't really think of myself as a very good acting teacher or a very good actor. I think of myself as someone who has learned a couple of tools. Like I've accumulated a bag of tools, and that I see that, and I feel that some people don't know that these tools exist. And when I learned them when I was in school, they really helped me in terms of how I'm going to approach a role or approach a script, you know, or approach, you know, the story that's being shown to me. And I think that, you know, some people know about it or some people don't know about it, but the idea is to like kind of figure out, it's also to build like a community so that, you know, there is this level of comfort and trust that we can go, hey, I really liked that, but the kid, I didn't really like this, you know, I liked that, I liked this, I didn't like that, you know. And then, you know, the trick is to like take the good and leave the bad, you know, because in the end, like, the bad may be right, but you decide how right you want it to be. That's up to you. But the real trick is to, you know, let that guard down and really listen to like what's being said to you, because they're not trying to hurt you, they're trying to help you. And you know, like I don't hold any kind of expectation of who will come. Like the idea is that I put the word out there, and if you're interested, I feel very grateful and I'm very happy to have you here. And chances are you'll probably know more about certain things than I do, but these are the things I know. And if they help you, I'm really happy. And if they don't, I'm sorry. Like, but it was really nice having you here.
So if you say you're going to coach like acting for adults, it could be adults older than you, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You feel totally fine about that?
No, I like to imagine myself as a respectful person, and the idea that like I'm not seeking them out and hey, can I teach you? No, I'm putting the word out there, and if they come, then there's a different relationship there. I'm not going out scouting for students. I'm saying like, hey, I'm interested in doing this. If you're interested in doing this, I'll be here, you know. And I don't really think of myself as a very good acting teacher or a very good actor. I think of myself as someone who has learned a couple of tools. Like I've accumulated a bag of tools, and that I see that, and I feel that some people don't know that these tools exist. And when I learned them when I was in school, they really helped me in terms of how I'm going to approach a role or approach a script, you know, or approach, you know, the story that's being shown to me. And I think that, you know, some people know about it or some people don't know about it, but the idea is to like kind of figure out, it's also to build like a community so that, you know, there is this level of comfort and trust that we can go, hey, I really liked that, but the kid, I didn't really like this, you know, I liked that, I liked this, I didn't like that, you know. And then, you know, the trick is to like take the good and leave the bad, you know, because in the end, like, the bad may be right, but you decide how right you want it to be. That's up to you. But the real trick is to, you know, let that guard down and really listen to like what's being said to you, because they're not trying to hurt you, they're trying to help you. And you know, like I don't hold any kind of expectation of who will come. Like the idea is that I put the word out there, and if you're interested, I feel very grateful and I'm very happy to have you here. And chances are you'll probably know more about certain things than I do, but these are the things I know. And if they help you, I'm really happy. And if they don't, I'm sorry. Like, but it was really nice having you here.
Yeah. What about the writer part? What have you been working on?
I've taken a bit of a detour. So like, the first play I ever wrote was in high school, and then I didn't write for a very long time. I tried writing poetry, and I'm terrible at it. And so I gave up on that. And then I tried writing some fiction, and then I realized I'm not maybe that great of a fiction writer, because I really like writing dialogue, like conversations. Yeah. So like I was writing fiction, and my friend read it. It was like, this actually reads like a script, like just a very wordy script. I was like, ah, darn. Okay, then maybe I should just write a script. So then I put that on the back burner, and then when I came back, after a few years, I met my friend Mike, and we and another friend sat down together, and we just started developing a script. And this is right after I had started a theater troupe. Oh, okay. And in the theater troupe, what we did was we collected a group of enthusiasts, a group of people who were interested in theater, who liked theater, who had a bit of a background in theater, and then we asked them to all source a script, a one-act play, and we basically just did a critique table. And so I brought my work, someone else brought their work, and we just sat at the table, and we would ask two people, or depending on how many characters are in the scene, to read certain lines of the characters. Yeah. We'd listen to it, and we'd read along with it, and notate as we read along. And then at the end, we would all give feedback. Mm-hmm. And then that writer would then take that feedback and then revise their work. Yeah, right. And then you'd bring it back next week, and we do it again, and next week, and we do it again. And by the end of 4 months, by the end of 2 months, or like a month and a half, we had 7 original scripts. Wow. Yeah, and some were in Chinese, and some were in English, and they were all entirely original works. And they were all written in Taipei in that year. Yeah. And so we then went, well, shoot, let's hold auditions and let's start casting people. Let's put on a performance.
So you started that?
So we put on a performance.
Okay. Oh, you have the performance and everything?
It was a long time ago, yeah.
All right.
And so that really, that turned something on inside my brain. It was like, that was cool. Wow, that was fun. How it works, huh? Yeah, and I really enjoyed that. So then when I worked with Mike, I was still kind of on that high. I still had that buzz. And so my friend James, Mike and I, like the three of us sat down and we just started working on this script. And it was for a film festival down in Tainan at the time. It was called the Tainan 39, which was hosted by our mutual friend, Till. And we got down there and we drew out certain categories for how our script had to be, and then we got a location, we got an object that we had to include, and we came prepared with our idea that we all worked on together. Like we put a little bit of here, put a little bit of there, put a little bit of here, put a little bit of there, and then we filmed it, and we all felt terrible about it because we only had 39 hours to film it, and we were super stressed, and we had to edit it, and we had to put subtitles on it, and it was hell. And then we got it out there, and it was incomplete, and they're like, all right, give us the complete version. And so they watched the complete version, because we gave them the wrong one by accident, the wrong USB. And then they put it in, and they watched it, and they were like, the subtitles aren't on, this should be an automatic disqualification. And they watched it, and they watched it, and then all of a sudden they finished it, and they all looked at each other. Huh. This was all later on, they told us. And then come the award ceremony, we're like sitting there, it's like, this was fun. We're all tired, we hadn't slept all night.
No, 39 hours straight.
And at the end, they call our name. And we got the Judge's Choice Award. We're like, wait a minute, hold up, wait, us, we, And then we stayed there, no one really moved. And then they went, are they here? And then Mike was like, all right, let's go. We just stood up, like, oh, okay, but very awkwardly like, oh, it's us, okay, yeah. And we got up there. And so I've been working on that script still. Still. Right. So I've been expanding it, and Mike and I and my friend James too, we've like met a couple of times, and we just kind of enriched the world and it's a science fiction piece, and
it's going to be a full-length.
It's going to be a full-length something. I don't know right now. So right now, the direction I'm going in is I'm trying to write it as fiction. I'm trying to write it as a work of fiction, like a book first, or a short novel first, and then we'll go from there, and then we'll have the source material. But yeah, no, I really, really love the story, and I really enjoyed like the entire like beginning, origins of this story too, because we took from real life experience, from stories that we all knew of or had seen firsthand, and then we started from a position of vulnerability and reality, and then we started to like mix it together, and then kind of fold it into each other, and then we created this world, these conditions that the world had, and what that meant about humanity then. Like, so what is life about? What is the human existence? And so it's really talking about humanity. It's talking about, you know, what it is to be a person and what defines us as people. Like, what are we in search of that makes us human in life?
All right. One last question. Yes. How do you want to develop your acting career in Taiwan? What are you expecting? What are you hoping? What's your
my end goal? What's my end game? What are your intentions with this career in this place? I've come to a point in my life where I realize you really can't have expectations of anything. You know, weather changes on a dime. You know, tides change without warning, and that's the same with life. Like, certain things that you think that are, you know, concrete could just shift in an instant. And so I've been working on coming to this position where I have no expectations, where I just do what I do, and I do it because I love it. Like, I've had experiences when I was on set and I hated my job, and I was getting yelled at, and it was stressful, and I was so unhappy, and then I kind of just shook myself and went, you're doing what you love for your career in a place you haven't been before. This is kind of awesome. And then, you know, my entire frame of reference just changed. I was like, no, this is good. This is actually really fun. Like, I do love acting, and, you know, even I didn't like the role, or I didn't like whatever, you know, I was still doing something that I loved for a living. You know, that was my career, that was my job. You know, and do what you love for your job and you'll never work a day in your life. And I've kind of, with that in mind, I think that I just want to move forward one step at a time, and you know, keep my feet on the ground. You know, keep my feet on the ground, do my job, be a professional, and leave a good impression with the people I work with. For whatever reason, like either through performance or even just through conversation. You know,
okay.
Just to be present, and you know, wherever it goes, it goes.
All right.
I'm just along for the ride.
Okay. It was so much fun talking to you, Andrew,
Yeah,
and hearing your story.
Thank you.
Literally hearing you acting out the interview today. But I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you so much. We say break a leg.
Thank you, Andrew.